See? Only.
Good evening and welcome to Sporlitics, where sports and politics mix and mingle. I'm Stacey Johnson. Joining me tonight is Aguna, the Nigerian moderate Republican, Stephen, the independent thinker, Keith, the constitutional conservative, and my cousin Todd. The January 6th committee continues to hear testimony today pointing to the guilt of former President Trump's actions that led to the insurrection. NASCAR with Stephen and how Chase Elliot won in the ATL. Supreme Court Justice, Associate Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was sworn in while we were away. Will that change future rulings? WNBA star and Olympic gold medalist Brittany Griner reaches out to President Biden while former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson flies to Moscow to negotiate her release. Todd in tennis. He will talk about Wimbledon's winners and losers. Pat Cipollone testifies about the possibility of the federal government seizing local election machines. The first African American woman will head up the Las Vegas Raiders. Why that matters. The BA.5 variant of COVID can be a Houdini and make you sick. We'll talk about that. The U.S. House of Representatives accepts Dan Snyder's offer to testify virtually. My question is why? In Japan, former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's party sweeps to election victory days after his assassination. Boris Johnson, Prime Minister of Britain, resigns after many controversies. Republican candidate Herschel Walker talks about air pollution during his campaign appearance. I really want to know what you guys thought about what he had to say. We'll play that. Steve Dettelbach is confirmed as the ATF director and more, if we can fit it in. First up, we're back. Yes, Todd, you were talking, I don't know what you were doing, but you were talking, so I put you on mute. How about that?
Oh,
first up.
Correctly. Wait a minute. Keith, was her voice in and out?
Yes. That's what we were saying. Your voice is in and out, Stacey.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know my voice was in and out. I'm talking. I'm thinking maybe
that's what we're trying to tell you. We're having a hard time hearing you.
Okay, thank you. I'll put in my headset that I didn't get. So in the meantime, we'll start with NASCAR. I'll be doing that while you talk about NASCAR, Stephen, after this clip, okay? All right.
Now he's the one who decides when they go. Green flag back in the air.
No push from that one car right now. Yeah, I'd like to see them be a little bit closer together than they were. Good organization on the outside line. Oh, contact. The 7 and the 19. Truex in the middle.
3 wide. Here comes Chase Elliott.
Chase through the middle. Truex now to the outside. Going backwards.
Now, Corey LaJoie trying to block both lines. To the high side. Here comes Chase Elliott. LaJoie up to block him.
Coming to 2 to go here. Chase is going to get a run on this 7 car at the end of the front straightaway. We know he's went to the inside to the outside.
Outside.
5 car to the lead. Now he's got to decide what lane he's going to go. Is he the bottom or the top? Big push from the 1 car on the 7 here. Push is coming from both sides.
Elliott goes down to block.
Corey's clear. He's clear of the 43.
1 lap to go. Presented by Credit One Bank. LaJoie loose behind the 9. Now he goes to the high side. All the way up into the wall goes LaJoie. He's going to spin around. He'll collect the field. Caution will come out, and it looks as though the 9 of Chase Elliott is going to be scored the winner. Chase Elliott will join his father as the only Georgia-born driver now, 2 of them to win at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Just the second father-son pair to win in Atlanta.
How about that, boys?
Mr. H, Jeff Gordon, and Chase Elliott fans all over, hugging and celebrating this win.
That was a good one. Appreciate y'all.
Complete celebration for Chase Elliott and complete dejection for Corey LaJoie. Corey made an aggressive move to win the race, and it just didn't work out.
He got a big push from the 43 down the front straightaway, and he had to do something with that, right?
Yes.
So he went to the outside. Chase goes up to block a little bit. Corey gets into the wall, gets loose up high. Here it is. The 43 is coming to the back of the 7 car and knows now Corey's going to get a run. What's he going to do? He doesn't go to the bottom. Chase enters low, moves up the racetrack. That sends Corey into the wall.
Kurt Busch.
Some hard licks right there. Gets in the back of the 9, just barely right there, and up the racetrack, loose into the wall. Everybody just going for it, really. You know, Chase is going to block. You know the blocks are coming late in these races. He's just defending his position, trying to win this race.
If this late in the race, you said it. If you got to run, you have to take it. And if it's coming from behind, you have to block it. And I know Corey won't be happy with the block.
Hey, race fans, thanks for watching our video. For all NASCAR on Fox News, content, and the best clips from Fox Sports, be sure to follow and subscribe to our channel.
Okay, Stephen, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Chase Elliott and his father. Go ahead, Stephen.
Oh, this is one of the best races I've ever seen. This is a contention for one of the best races. I've been watching it for, I don't know, many decades, too many decades. And his father, Bill Elliott, was one of my dad's favorite drivers of all time. He drove the Coors car. The Coors sponsored him. He drank Coors because of this. This is how influential these drivers were over the years. You know what I mean? If it was a driver, your favorite driver, drink Budweiser or whatever, you would drink Budweiser. This was a Coors guy, and he loved him. And he was a fan favorite for years. And now his son, for the last 2 years, I think, is the fan favorite. And that's the first time he won in Atlanta. And he deserves everything he gets. He's doing really good. He's doing really well. But that Ross Chastain, the number 1 car that they showed, looks like an American flag car, and it's a jockey sponsor. That's why we're a jockey. But he is amazing, and he's crazy, and he makes a lot of people mad because he gives no craps about nothing. He's going to win. He's going to try to win. If he's got to do what he's got to do, he's going to do it. And he brings so much excitement. You saw the end of the race. That wasn't even the most exciting thing about the race. Was exciting. It was not a boring the whole race. They've got new pavement. The cars, these are the next generation new cars. It's just over 1.5 miles, 1.54 miles track, but it ran like a super speedway, like Daytona or Talladega. That's half miles. They could work together so well with drafting and everything, and it was great. But that Ross Chastain is not making a lot of friends, but he's making a real name for himself. He's been there a couple of years. He is just unbelievably, like I said last week, and like I said the week before, and I'll say the next week. He's kind of like he just hits it. He hits his mark. And if it's going to mess somebody up, he doesn't think about it. But it's really has been great this year, and I hope if you can go back and watch a lot of the highlights or watch the whole race, it's worth the time. This was a great race. It was on every level. It was competitive racing, and it's exactly what NASCAR wants these cars to do. They don't start immediately when they hit. They're a little bit stronger. They're faster. They're durable, and the racing is unbelievable right now. And next week, the track, it's a little smaller. It's not going to be as fast, a little over a mile, but it's going to be exciting because everybody is racing every second for the stages, to win the stages, and to win.
Right.
Elliot won every stage. He won the first two stages and the last stage, so he won the race. Elliot totally dominated this race. It was still overall one of the best races I've ever seen. Very.
So can you also talk about the racer, and I forgot his name that quick. He just joined
Corey.
He just joined Michael Jordan's team.
You mean Kurt Busch? It's Kurt Busch and Bubba.
Joined.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Not Bubba. Someone else just joined his team. Wait, I'm gonna look it up right now because I almost had a thing on him. His name is Reddick. He joined 2311 Racing. He's going to join 2311 Racing in 2024. Tyler Reddick.
Oh, in 2024. So in a couple years. Oh, yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that was in the plan. He's
about a couple hours ago
racer.
Today. You want to talk about him as a racer? A couple hours ago today, he announced it and talked about his reasons for joining. But do you want to talk about, what he will add to that team?
I didn't see it.
Why you think they had him join? What do you think he'll add to that team?
He's a young top 10 driver, really good. He's in equipment. Definitely. He's in equipment that's not as good as that team. They're talking about expanding now. They want to keep Bubba, but right now Bubba's not doing so well for the team. And he's putting down his whole team. He's putting down everybody that's because they're making bad decisions. His crew chief is making bad decisions. His crew's not doing right.
Really?
And that's a major focus. If you have any problems, that's behind the scenes. Don't bring it out in public because you're not gonna make a lot of friends that you see every day. So if they got talent, he wouldn't be in the position he has if he didn't have. But if he's gonna be buddies, it's not gonna work out too well. Maybe he can get some other people that work better for him. But this addition,
but I'm not really surprised.
The addition of him is awesome.
Yeah, but I'm really not surprised about Bubba Wallace because I think, personally, it's my personal opinion. I think he was, a little bit of trouble from the beginning. And now for him to not get along with his teammates and his pit crew and all that, it just really shows, I think, who he is. Sorry. He's not going to get along with anyone.
Oh, that is really showing how he is. He has a lot of issues. He has a lot of issues that he's trying to work through. And if he can work through those issues, see, when he's criticizing the people who put him out there and they're responsible for his life, when he criticizes them in public, hurting himself because he's hurting so many other people's feelings, they're doing the best job they can. That's part of the good driver. It's on me. This is on me. Crew's doing the best. And when
So, okay, we're having some sort of technical difficulties. I think you guys said that had happened to me earlier. So obviously that's a technical difficulty. And, with technology, this does happen.
People just don't do that. It's like we're
Stephen, your voice is out.
Yeah, I think it's the connection. I think it's the connection. I don't know why.
Yeah, Stephen, stop. Can't hear you. We'll come back to that.
Like,
all right. So, okay, we'll move on. Yeah, he's breaking up. Let's go, since we're doing that, Todd, let's go to you and tennis. What happened in Wimbledon?
Wimbledon. It wasn't an series for me. I barely watched it. I watched him. He played a good game. The men. And when I was like over it, and then they don't like Djokovic, and I never want to win, or from Australia, his name is I forget his name, Cocky, and so anyway, the final was Djokovic and his name escapes me. I hate them both, and I didn't care who. And but Jenny was glued to the set, and it was a girl who I once was out. I was so more.
Todd, you're just in and out. You're in and out, Todd. Yeah. You're going in and out too. So I think that is restream again, because you're going in and out, in and out, in and out. Isn't he going in and out? Can you guys hear? Yeah, you're going in and out. And Todd, you were ready to totally blame me and say it was all my fault. I'm going in and out. No, it's you, Stephen. So that must be restream.
I may be going
about it. Maybe it'll be able to hear her better.
Okay, you're gonna have her call in.
Yeah.
Okay, she isn't in yet. She hasn't come in yet. So in the meantime, let's move on.
I hope I don't sound in and out.
Yeah, you do.
No.
Oh, what's going on?
I don't know. We're back in, and the people are giving us trouble. I don't know what's going on with our technical thing.
Stephen just froze up.
Yeah, everyone's freezing.
Okay, well, now I'm hearing perfectly. To take it from here.
Okay, so go ahead. Who's going to take it from where? You're holding it up. Keep moving. Do something. You can't just sit here. What are you doing, Todd? No sound. I'm hearing nothing from you.
You said I was going in and out. I'm not going to continue to talk, and you. So
well, there's Aguna. See how Aguna sounds.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing?
All right, Aguna. I think we're having a lot of technical difficulty tonight. We're going in and out, and they're trying to ruin us. But guess what? The show doesn't stop. We're going to move on. The show doesn't stop. Todd, I don't know what he's doing. He's waiting for, I don't know, his next big, who knows what. Watch this. We're going to move on.
Now to former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson heading to Moscow in an effort to free Brittany Griner following her guilty plea on drug charges. The WNBA star will be honored tonight at the league's All-Star game. ABC's Zachary Quiche is here with the latest. Good morning to you, Zachary.
Eva, good morning to you as well. Bill Richardson has been instrumental in other high-profile deals. A source telling ABC News that Richardson is now working with Griner's family and is expected in Moscow in the next couple weeks. This morning, Brittany Griner, one of the game's most visible female athletes, couldn't be further from her dominance on the court. The ongoing effort to bring Brittany home has applied pressure to the Biden administration to broker a deal. Now news that Bill Richardson, a former governor and ambassador to the UN, who has worked privately for years as an international negotiator, is heading to Moscow. In Chicago, Griner's wife, Sherelle, thankful Brittany is not being forgotten.
Thank you again for keeping my wife's name and legacy very visible while she's not here on U.S. soil.
It's not Griner's game, but her detention in a Russian prison that has been the focus of this weekend's WNBA All-Star game in Chicago. Griner is facing 10 years for allegedly traveling with vape cartridges containing hashish oil.
I would like to plead guilty on the charges, but I had no intention on breaking any Russian law.
Today, she will be an honorary starter as she sits in a cell some 5,000 miles away.
I would like again to emphasize the commitment of the United States government at the very highest levels to bring home safely Ms. Griner and all U.S. citizens wrongfully detained.
Experts say several challenges, including the war in Ukraine, add complexity to the negotiations.
This issue of foreign governments taking American citizens hostage is not new. If we don't address it now, it's only going to get worse.
Richardson recently played a role in the release of Trevor Reed in Russia and Laura Ling detained in North Korea. Janae.
Griner will be front and center tonight at the All-Star Game. Zachary, thank you.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.
All right, let's start with someone we never start with, Keith. What do you think about that? Is it fair necessarily for Brittany Griner? She wrote President Biden. She talked about how she thinks she'll be there forever and she wants out of the Russian prison. And he responded to her wife, as you saw. Do you think it's fair for, do you think it's fair for her to get that acknowledgement from the president and other families of other detainees in Russian prisons that are specifically U.S. veterans? They don't get that same attention from the president, and their families are complaining.
Wow. Well, if that's the case, then no, it's not fair. I didn't know that. I didn't even know we had a whole bunch of prisoners over in Russia. I mean, that's really unprecedented. It's not good. Doesn't look good at all whatsoever. I mean,
it's not it's not a bunch of them. It's a few of them, but not a bunch of them. But there are U.S. veterans and prisoners still there.
Prisoners, are we at war with Russia, or what the hell's going on?
Well, they're prisoners because they are not prisoners of war. They are prisoners because they have done something that Russia says is illegal. So, like we have people who break laws in the United States and they go to prison. It's the same thing there.
Well, that's a real mess. I don't know. What is it going to say about it?
I'm not going to go to Aguna next. I'm going to go to Stephen next. Stephen, is it fair? He can't hear. Okay, Aguna, you're there. Is it fair?
What's going on with this? What's going on around here? It's not okay. When you say fair, we have to look at it in a couple different ways. Did she break the law? She broke the law. She admitted she broke the law, even though it's a very minor amount of marijuana or whatever oil or whatever they found.
Hashish oil.
Yeah. So, I mean, from our perspective, does the punishment fit the crime? But it's not our country. So part of it is, dang, it's kind of harsh. It's messed up that she's over there. But then it's also part of making good decisions and having handlers around you because she was rushing and she had it on her person. Usually somebody's handling that or it's in somebody else's bag. It's not on you. So there's a lot of this is sensationalized because she's an athlete and because of who she is. But at the end of the day, if you take a step back, yeah, she broke the law. It's another country. A lot of times when we as Americans, when we travel overseas, we think we're immune to their laws when in fact, even though it's Russia and we're like, at odds with them globally and in some ways militarily with this war in the Ukraine, they're a sovereign nation. So hopefully Richardson can go over there and negotiate something, but she was found guilty. She admitted she was guilty, and she has to be accountable. Now, how severe that is another debate, but unfortunately, we should be talking about making good decisions as well as, trying to bring her home.
All right. Nas.
Did the soldiers break?
We've got Nas
the law
on.
too?
So, and to Keith's point, there's a difference between what she's accused of and some of this espionage that I forgot the name of the guy. He was like a contractor and he was detained and they're accusing him of stealing secrets and stuff like that.
I think it was Paul Whelan.
Paul Whelan, he's still over there. They're accusing him of being like a spy or something like that, which again is we don't know if he is or not. We don't know what's going on. Again, he's over there contracting, so there's a blur around that situation. But they're two separate situations. One is clear cut in which she had legal substance. It wasn't a lot. So, but she admitted that she had it versus this Paul Wheeler situation where it's a little bit more debatable around what he was doing, what he's carrying, and they're trying to accuse him of being a spy.
Okay, we have Nas on. Nas, welcome to Sporlitics, where sports and politics mix and mingle. Do you want to comment on Brittany Griner getting attention from President Biden and Paul Whelan and other people held captive in Russia not getting the same attention and not having Bill Richardson? Can you hear me? Not having Bill Richardson go over to Moscow to negotiate their release.
Yeah, I mean, this is just typical anti-blackness from the right. Like this is not like a pizza and you pick each slice and one person gets more slices. It's like, no, this is an international incident. One person is more famous than the other people. So of course that famous person is going to have more people pushing for her release. So you got the WNBA, you got the LGBTQ movement, you've got the NBA, you've got a lot of different interests who are pushing for Brittany Griner's release, and therefore news media and outlets are going to take that story because why? I mean, it's a newsworthy story. Famous athlete is locked up in Russia. So that's why it's more attention. It's not like there's some deliberate thing where they're prioritizing or anything like that. No, it's just this person is more famous, so you'll see more headlines on it. But as far as effectiveness, that's the part that really matters the most. She doesn't have a better chance of getting out than any of them do. Like everything is a toss-up on this. But no, it's not like some type of, well, if she gets out, they don't get to get out. Like none of the people have anything to do with each other. This is about U.S. and Russia diplomacy and the bad relationship between the two countries right now. So no, it's not a thing of her getting attention is hurting them. Not at all.
Okay, Stephen, can you talk now so we can hear your comment?
So Nas and I
Stephen,
agree
can
on
you hear us?
something. We found agreement, Nas.
Stephen, the FBI has blocked Stephen from commenting. You better get out that basement, man. That basement's going to be your grave.
We can't hear you, Stephen. We still can't hear you. And I don't have you on mute, Stephen. I've got you all the way up past 100 on volume.
Are you sure, Stephen? Are you sure you weren't in DC on January 6th? You look like one of those insurrectionists right now. Now you're good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me see. Pray for us.
Go ahead, Steve.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the FBI got him.
All right. So
Can you hear me now?
Yes, but you're going in and out and your signal is very weak. Yes.
Dr. Fauci is doing it. Let's blame it on Dr. Fauci.
All right. In the meantime, we have another guest. Welcome to Sporlitics, where sports and politics mix and mingle. What's your name and what's your comment? What's your name and what's your comment?
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Jenny from the block.
I've been having some trouble trying to call in. I was calling to see if tennis. That's okay. So I don't know if you guys had glossed over tennis. Probably.
Hopefully we have.
Oh, okay. Well, just to kind of up and so for the men's side, Novak Djokovic.
Can you hear me now?
Here. Yes.
Nothing.
Yes. So Novak Djokovic is there. I think this is
talking.
His sixth title. And okay.
Go ahead, Jenny. Keep talking.
Okay. This is his somebody. So I think this is his sixth Wimbledon title in the Grand Slam championships. He's one behind Novak. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's one behind and one ahead of Roger Federer. For the women's side, it was oh my gosh. I think it was Krejcikova. She's actually Russian born in Moscow, but she stopped 18. She plays for Kazakhstan now, although she's actually Russian. She'd been a Russian player, so isn't that something?
Yeah.
So from Belarus, Russia and Belarus have been banned from Wimbledon so far. So she's a pretty powerhouse player. She has a big serve. I think she has this year. People can't even return her serve, so she's one of the top servers. So
that means
yeah.
Serena's not going to be able to beat her, huh?
Well, no, against each other is going to be serve against serve, and Serena still has a big serve. She was playing and had to pull out with Ons Jabeur, she was actually in the final with Krejcikova, and she came in runner-up, one of the top players. She has an all-around game and a really nice person too, just really for the game. So, but Serena was playing with her in doubles. They got, she had an injury, so she wanted to play singles. So she made a good move, but yeah, serve looked very good, even though she got knocked out in the first round. So she needs to get some back for the U.S. Open. Serena will be, hopefully she'll get some reps in the hard court season. So anyway, those are the, too big. I don't want to, belabor.
Mention that. Curious, I forgot his name. The one of them.
Yeah, Nick. So Novak Djokovic, he was playing Nick Kyrgios, and that's a long way to, he was talking about some of his mental health struggles over the last, I guess, 2 years or so. Said that he was contemplating suicide and just, depression. He's come a long way. You see it actually in his body. I mean, he's lost weight. He's more, and he got all the way to the finals of Wimbledon, which he could have done years ago. One of the biggest servers in tennis. His movement wasn't great, giving it a try, and he was, his weight was a little heavier. But I mean, this is like, he could have won this match too. I mean, but Djokovic is just so good. He's one of the all-time greats. And if you want to get to Wimbledon, U.S. Open, Australian Open, franchise, or right now these two, Djokovic and Nadal. But in Wimbledon, the announcer said, I think these guys together have won 16 of the slams. Novak, Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer, 16 of the last 8. Until these guys retire, I feel sorry for the guys who came up in their era, because you just, and I think we'll never see this again. And this is why, it's just beyond tennis. We will never see something like this again. Just like I don't think we'll ever see, on the women's side, somebody win 20. We'll never see this. So this is just a once in a lifetime thing. So for tennis,
yeah. Too. Which is why me and Step to New York, to the U.S. To get a last look at these. I don't know 2 years from now if they'll be back. Nadal struggling, Serena.
Yeah.
Great.
Hopefully. I don't think Federer will make it to the U.S. Open this year. He's going to play in Fed Cup, which I think is after the U.S. But last thing, Nadal. So you'll see Rafael Nadal. So you won't be yawning when you see him play. Just one of the most exciting times. So anyway, that's it for tennis.
But we better
enjoy the U.S. Open.
TNT, Todd and tennis.
No,
and cousin Jenny from the block.
Thank you, cousin Dr. Jenny.
Thank you.
Football and basketball.
Right.
All
We're
right.
gonna be talking about this in a month. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We're going right back to this right here. We're gonna be worried about this right here. All right.
Guys, and speaking of that, watch this.
The Raiders made a monumental hire with their new president. Sandra Douglas Morgan is the first female African-American president in NFL history. So, the Raiders have a long line of breaking color and gender barriers. So they're kind of continuing their long line of history and breaking color and gender barriers in the NFL. She comes in at a time when there's a lot of turnover in the executive office, losing 2 presidents within 10 months. So, obviously there's a lot there to, kind of clean up, it looks like, from the outside. She says she's prepared to do that, and she's kind of excited. She's a lifelong Las Vegan, excited to take this opportunity with the NFL in Las Vegas. Her husband's a former NFL player himself, so that adds a bit of excitement to their household, but she's ready to go in and take, get this underway here. She's a longtime Las Vegan, former chair of the Gaming Control Board as well. She was the first African-American to chair that as well. So she also has a long history of trailblazing here in Las Vegas.
Okay, I'm going to start with Nas on Sandra Douglas with the Las Vegas Raiders. What does that mean? I mean, I think it's historical, first off, a woman in the NFL, but what does it mean for her to be president of the Raiders? And what type of difference will she make in that position?
None as far as how the NFL operates, but ultimately the NFL gets paid twice from this. They get to say we made this hire to show you that we're changing, and also they get to bump up their numbers for diversity. And again, I'm not saying anything badly about this young lady. Ultimately, when we see these stories about the first, or this is historic, or this person broke barriers, what we're actually talking about is somebody was hired for a position they were qualified for. It wasn't a case of we never could find a black person or an Asian person who could do the particular job. It's just they weren't let in. So when people say break barriers or whatever other Orwellian euphemism they won't say, what they're actually saying is we practiced racism for a very long time. And now this person is getting into this space, and we get to celebrate ourselves for letting them into this space. So the genius of this woman gets kind of, I don't know, it gets degraded online because people assume affirmative action and they say, oh, well, why are they telling us what color she is? And they bring up all that stuff when it's like, no, you had to have the qualifications first. That's why she's getting the job. But again, I'm not taking my foot off the NFL's neck because I know who they are and I know what they are. So a racist institution makes one drop in the bucket, but completely does not change who they actually are. And hopefully they don't take her to the point of where she wants to get the hell out of there. But hopefully she can, institute as much change as she can while she's there. But again, it's about systems, not individuals.
So I'm sharing my screen right now. Stephen, I want to ask you, you see former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice joins Denver Broncos ownership group. This was written Monday, July 11th, 2022 at 1:52 p.m. on yahoosports.com. It says, we are pleased to welcome former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice to our ownership group. Rob Walton said in a statement, a highly respected public servant, accomplished academic and corporate leader. She does have a PhD and she speaks Russian. Secretary Rice is well known as a passionate and knowledgeable football fan who has worked to make the sport stronger and better. She is the daughter of a football coach and served on the inaugural college football playoff committee. She moved to Denver with her family when she was 12 years old and went on to attend the University of Denver for both college and graduate school. Her unique experience and extraordinary judgment will be a great benefit to our group and the Broncos organization. Stephen, what's your comment on how she'll make the Denver Broncos a little bit better?
She's been wanting to get in the NFL for a long time, and a lot of people have been wanting her to get in as well because she is brilliant. And the Denver Broncos have the quarterback from Seattle now, which is a brilliant move on their side. Denver should do really, really well, and I think she can bring a lot to the table that's going to help them do even better. And maybe she will be there for player selection or changes or anything like that. I think anything that you need from Condoleezza Rice, you're going to get. And I'm all in on Denver this year for the AFC. I think they're going to do very, very well. Russ Wilson is going to light it up. He's got a great team around him where it was starting to fail a lot. And with the older coach that might need to step down too, but the coach doesn't have much talent there either. And the talent they have is kind of jumbled. But I think it's going to be really great for Denver. And I guarantee they go to the playoffs, if not a lot further than the playoffs. I think they're going to be really, really good this year. They're putting things together, and they're in a tough division, right. But that's going to make them tougher. They're going to themselves on the other teams in their division, and they're going to be good.
Okay, Cousin Todd, your comment
I'm happy for Condoleezza.
Yeah, your comment on former Secretary of State Dr. Condoleezza Rice joining the Denver Broncos ownership group.
Okay.
Cousin Todd?
Me?
He said Serena.
We can't hear anything. You're wasting our time. Speak up.
You can't hear me?
Now.
It's super for her.
All right.
He don't know much about it.
He
doesn't know the history of the decades that she's been wanting to get into the NFL.
Keith?
This is huge, Todd.
Yeah. I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, but I think if Bob died, he tried to gain ownership, not in that particular club, but some other club, successful.
What?
So if that's the case, it's interesting.
You mean Rush Limbaugh?
Did
you say Rush Limbaugh?
Yeah, Rush Limbaugh tried to gain in one of the teams.
It's a whole different situation here with where she is and where he was. This is a whole different situation than what she's doing.
Lisa Rice.
It has nothing to do with this
question.
Well, the question.
I just thought it was interesting, though, that he was not able to in a racist
man.
Sure.
And whenever
a
white man, and I get mad.
The organization is in. If it's a racist organization, you would think they'd let a racist in there, right? But anyway, hopefully that her salary is going to be equivalent to the other men. Everything will look good.
Yeah. It's interesting you should say that, Keith. Todd is usually bringing up.
She's part of the ownership.
The Lilly Ledbetter Act. Todd's always talking about women don't get paid as much as men, and he didn't say a word about that. He's busy looking in the camera, shrugging his shoulders. Go ahead, Aguna.
Well, she's part of the ownership group, so she'll be setting salaries. Okay, people. She's getting equity in. So it's not like she's going to get a salary. You see, you guys are still looking at it through the lens that she has to work for somebody. She's part of a group that's getting paid. So let's understand that too. So the second thing is going back to Sandra. You can see that she was part of the Nevada Gaming Commission.
She'll have influence.
Right. So you look at sports betting going on, the reason why the Raiders are in Vegas to begin with was to tap into a lot of that money that's going to be generated through sports betting. So it makes sense that she becomes president of the Raiders, especially after sitting on that commission. So whether it is a historic, hire or whatever, but at the end of the time, it is a strategic hire because now she can use her influence over the gaming commission and in gambling and stuff to make the Raiders even more money, because they're going to make more money off of sports betting than they are with people in the stands, as well as, the revenue from advertising.
She'll still make money, won't she? I mean, right?
I don't understand what you're saying there, Keith, but I know you are passionate about it. So what I'll say is this. Condoleezza, yes, she'll make money. She's an owner. She has equity. So we don't know how much equity, but at the end of the day, it's good for her. It's always good to have a diverse ownership group, especially because, the NFL, to Naz's point, wants to tap into a diverse audience. But to make this political in some kind of way, as if these are rich people making more money. This is all it is. I mean, this is like investing in stocks and stuff. They're just finding ways to generate more wealth, which is only in America.
Only in America. I want to talk.
And Keith, can I just
go ahead? Go ahead.
Keith, to answer your Rush Limbaugh question, the reason the ownership didn't approve him is because he would have been bad for business. He would have been polarized and would have lost them money. For the same reason that if Farrakhan calls NBA tomorrow, the ownership group will say, "Hell no, Farrakhan, you cannot own a team. You're bad for our business." Same thing.
Only in America. Don't you love capitalism?
All right. So I want to share the screen with you. And I want to start out with Stephen. The Washington Commanders in particular, ESPN, if you look at this, ESPN.com article by John Keem at 4:26 p.m. today, the House committee accepts Washington Commanders owner Dan Snyder's offer to testify, but only under subpoena. They said he could not do it voluntarily as his attorney had requested. So, Stephen, do you want to talk about what this is about? Stephen?
Is this is not the insurrection stuff, is it?
Washington right now, I don't have a defense for Washington. I'm not on Washington's side. There's nothing cool about Washington right now. My son went to a different team after decades. I went to a different team after decades. I'm with Las Vegas, but I do have a big heart for Denver.
Shame on you.
And my son likes Buffalo. There's for us. We're going to stick with them. We're done with Washington.
So that's what happens. You just get when the going gets
Commanders
tough,
or the commodes or the communists or whatever you want to.
You're very cowardly. I'm ashamed of you, Stephen.
One of the worst quarterbacks ever this year. We're not down. He's going to be hurt in 2 weeks.
I won't necessarily deny that, but you need to stick with your guns, man. Through good times, bad times, through strike years when you win Super Bowls tonight, you're supposed to stick with your team. Shame on you.
No.
Yeah, just think about
I'm a Redskin fan. I don't have the Redskin anymore. I got to go.
That's what you got.
So
that's what
just
you got to
think
do.
about how Laguna and I stuck with the Eagles for all those years, and we didn't have a championship. As soon as we win a championship. And Nas says if we win a championship, he'll eat an Eagles hat. He never did. But we're still sticking with the.
He ate the Eagles hat. He ate it. He just wasn't on camera. He was just being a hater.
They called them the Pigeons. What did they call them? The Pigeons. Would you be a Pigeon fan?
Well, if Eagles started to complain,
what did they call them? The Dodo Birds. Would you be a bird fan? No.
No, because what you're saying right now really makes sense in the grand scheme of your head, right? Come on now. Shame on you, Stephen. Go back to your team. Come out the basement.
I do want to say also,
there's too much controversy with them.
Excuse me. If you see the screen, it says, in her letter to the committee last week, and I think they are referring to Dan Snyder's attorney, she said that Snyder planned to be in Israel for much of July and into August to observe the 1-year anniversary of his mother's death. Seymour said she traveled to Israel for Snyder's video. We're sorry for the loss of his mother, but she'll travel to Israel for Snyder's video deposition, which would be conducted in private, but the committee can opt to release all or part of the transcript. So
he said, when y'all planning it, man, I'm gonna be in Israel. I ain't even gonna be in the country at the time. How about y'all give me another date? Only thing, I might be out the country then too.
All right.
Isn't
So
it
I'm
great
gonna stop
to be
sharing
rich?
my screen.
Isn't it great to be rich? You could just.
Well, we don't know, but we know you do.
Oh,
I want to make
unfair. Only if I was in Nigeria.
Since we went back,
Yeah, Aguna just ran up all the credit cards. He ain't rich. He just ran up all his credit cards.
Can you all
I wish.
hear me?
I wish. I don't use
Can you
credit.
hear me?
Yes, unfortunately,
Okay,
Cousin Todd, we can hear you. What's your point?
football.
What's your point?
Okay, steak. And she wanted me to correct her of the Wimbledon match was.
What the hell? Hell no, Todd. Look, we're not talking about Wimbledon. We're not. That segment is over.
No, we don't.
This is no more TT. No more TT. No more Todd and tennis. It's done. Okay, get over it.
Winner was
tennis balls and go home.
Todd, this is enough. Come on, man. Come on, Todd. Cut it out. Shame on you.
Honey, the kids.
Hey, what about the winner?
you.
What about the male winner? Was it Nukovic? He said he's still not getting the shot, so he might not play the next tournament. How about that, Todd? He said, I don't want the shot. You can take the shot and put it in your butt. Don't put it in mine. I'm still not going to take that shot. So I might not play the next.
That's exactly what he said.
I respect him for that. That's his body. He can do what he wants with his body. I respect him for that.
Oh, really? Except if you're a woman and you're pregnant. Except if you're a woman and you're pregnant.
Huh?
There we go.
U.S. Senate candidate Herschel Walker raising eyebrows over the weekend when he talked about climate change in front of a private meeting with Republicans in Hall County. The party's Facebook account showed the Heisman Trophy winner discussing air pollution.
But since we don't control the air, our good air decided to float over to China, bad air. So when China gets our good air, their bad air got to move. So it moves over to our good air space. And now we got to clean that back up.
All right, so on social media from Twitter, critics certainly having a bit of a field day, but his backers say he was talking about real complications when countries don't cooperate on climate change treaties. Walker faces Democratic U.S. Senator, the Reverend Raphael Warnock, in November.
Nas, you're down there in the ATL, I think. Could you all make heads or tails out of what the candidate Herschel Walker just said without that translation that the news journalist made?
I know Keith came.
Well, basically, they've done the polling and they found enough Stevens and Keiths to where you can run with a moron who you can just basically put a pen in his hand and have him sign stuff.
Straight moron.
He doesn't have to know anything. He doesn't have to be curious about anything. He doesn't have to be interested in actually governing. He can just be a cult of personality.
And the bad
as long as he can appeal to the, YouTube and Facebook so-called researchers like Stephen and Keith, then they feel like they got a shot. So, yeah, they're trying it. They're rolling it out. And we will see how dumb Republican Georgians are.
So let's let Stephen or Keith respond to that. Stephen or Keith, you want to respond to that?
I just want to say that
go Keith.
Good comedy there. I think that was
okay, Stephen.
Funny.
That's all you had to say, Keith. Go ahead, Stephen.
Not my state, not my problem. I love him as a football player. I hope he does well. I love Donald Schwarzenegger for everything he did, and he was the governor of California, and there's some things he did well. So I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a big problem with Herschel Walker if he can win, do well, and maybe surround himself with good people like we always hope everyone else can. Maybe something positive will happen from it. I'm not sure, but overall, I think he's a great guy. He's a great, and what's the problem with?
Okay, Cousin Todd.
There's a problem with the idiot running for a position that he's not qualified for. Okay.
Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't qualified, but Arnold Schwarzenegger
actually, he was more qualified than Herschel Walker is running for.
That's your opinion.
No.
Go ahead, Cousin Todd.
Cousin Todd. Because he was married to a Kennedy. Because he was married to a Kennedy, he was more qualified, right?
Can
No.
Cousin
But
Todd
we're
speak?
talking about Herschel Walker. I know you
Kennedy
want to pivot,
more
Stephen. I know you
qualified.
want to pivot and make a stupid point, but Herschel
No,
Walker
I don't
has
wanna
no
pivot.
business running for office. Period. If you're defending
Can Cousin
that,
Todd
then
speak?
you're part
Anybody
of
can
that
run for
block
office.
club.
Anybody can run for office. It's not up to you.
He's not
Can
qualified.
Cousin Todd
Neither
speak?
AOC. AOC's not qualified, but she's there.
All right, go ahead, Cousin Todd.
PhD in economics. He just told you good air and bad air. Stop it.
Go ahead, Cousin Todd.
Okay, what about a habitual liar? That give you pause? Contradicts himself constantly. But I would like an honest
Going to attack him. Racist.
guy.
Racist.
Honest.
Racist.
He's a Trump supporter with everything you need to know about
Racist.
him.
Racist.
All right, I guess Keith thinks that's cute. Go ahead, Cousin Todd. Finish your point.
Because Keith is mentally, so I can't deal with him.
All right, Aguna. I think Aguna, you never did make a comment about this Herschel Walker. You want to do so?
Yeah, I mean, well, those who are defending this guy running for office after that last clip, I mean, you are the problem. You're trying to defend him because if he was a Democrat, there was no way you would even entertain this guy running for office. This is bad for America. I know, yeah, according to Stephen, he can do what he wants to do because he's an American. No, it's bad for the country. You got an idiot in an office of a senator. That's higher than a governor. I mean, this is a smack in the face to us all. I mean, clearly not articulate, doesn't know what he's talking about, has no bearing on the issue. He's going to be bad for Georgia. I don't have to be a resident of Georgia to see that. This is a joke, and it's a clown show. And they're making a mockery of not only the democracy, but making a mockery of him.
Okay, thank you.
You spelled it wrong.
Your headline this evening involves the coronavirus here in the U.S. and what authorities now say could be the most transmissible variant yet, as I mentioned, now spreading across the country. And this evening, what Moderna is now saying about its new booster, how effective it is against this troubling variant. Their data is hopeful, but of course, how soon before that booster is now available? Here's Eva Pilgrim tonight.
Tonight, with COVID resurging, experts are warning the subvariant BA.5 could be the most transmissible Omicron variant yet.
Omicron BA.5 has mutations in its spike protein that give it the ability to escape antibodies both from vaccines and from infections from previous Omicron subvariants.
BA.5 is driving COVID infections and now makes up more than half of the country's new cases. And health officials in Los Angeles and New York are once again urging people to mask up indoors.
Better safe than sorry. That's what I said. It's a simple thing to put on a mask.
Nearly 3/4 of Americans are now living in a county at medium or high risk of COVID. The country is averaging 100,000 new cases daily, but since most home tests go unreported, experts warn that number could actually be 7 times higher, and more Americans are going into hospitals.
BA.5 doesn't seem to be causing more severe illness, but just like with every new variant, if it's spreading fast, it causes more infection. Ultimately, we will see an impact in our hospitals.
Moderna today reporting its new booster produced 6 times more antibodies against the BA.4 and 5 subvariants a month after injection. But that new shot won't likely be available until October or November at the earliest.
There is some urgency to figure out the composition of the vaccine for the fall. We don't want to be in a situation where we have a rise in cases ahead of vaccination and we're trying to play catch up.
71 million Americans still haven't received a single vaccine shot. More than half of the eligible population has not gotten their first booster.
And Eva Pilgrim back with us on the virus again tonight. Eva, getting back to what Moderna said today about its new booster, saying it has more antibodies in this particular booster against this BA.5 variant than the current vaccine does. That, of course, is good news. We all loved hearing that. But then the question quickly becomes how soon before the booster is available across this country.
That's right, David. Moderna says that vaccine candidate produced almost twice the number of antibodies as its current vaccine. Moderna plans to submit its data to the FDA later this week, and the White House says that we could expect to see a rollout in October or November. David?
All right, Eva Pilgrim with us here tonight. Eva, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
So, Cousin Todd, they're saying this COVID variant BA.5 is moving much quicker, and eventually it's like a snowball effect. People are going to, more people are going to end up in the hospital, even though there is an underreporting of infections.
Yeah. They have this October, November, which has this on this particular variant. And the funny thing is, Republicans said, like down here on the show, coronavirus after Donald Trump. Yet here we are later, still talking about the corona thing. It's not a
You're
Democratic
going in and out,
hoax.
Cousin Todd. You're going in and out, and we can't really hear you that well. It's not that. I think it's your system.
Okay, well, help for that.
All right, Stephen.
Too cheap.
Stephen.
You got to upgrade.
Stephen. The BA.5 variant is Houdini. You know, it's going really quickly. It's evading past recognitions of the immune system to fight it. Where does that put us? That means we're going to get sick, Americans.
Oh, this is a tough one. This is a Chuck Norris. You know, this is the BA.5. That stands for badass 5. Everybody better get worried and understand this could take you out of here in a minute. This is the worst variant ever. Now it's just we have an election coming up in 22, and it's just coming in the fall, and everybody's gonna have to stay home, and they're gonna do 20. That's all it is. It's just it's more BS. It's just than as it's been. And people are getting tired of it. And you know, they said that kids they can get their shots now. There's about 1% of the kids 5 and under to get shots. People are tired of it. It's all because we have an election coming up. That's all it is. So people can get nervous about it or worried about it.
Okay, so
how is this helping the election?
Okay, so
what
Keith,
difference is it making the election?
So Keith, Stephen said,
you realize this is happening globally, not just in the U.S. So why would
what does it have to do with the election?
Because they can tell everybody they're going to have to stay down. Nobody can go outside.
So why would you want to run on that? Why would you want to? Why would a candidate want to run on
mail-in
that?
voting?
So Keith,
You're cycling.
you can either live your life or get sick, and
they're not going to run on it. They're going to shut us down again.
What do you
steal the election?
What do you suggest for the elderly?
Mr.
Oh man, I would agree with Stephen. Every word Stephen said. I am not going to live my life in fear. I will not. I mean, these people talking about wearing a mask again, nonsense. Stop it, because they proved it last time. Even when we went through all that we did, people got shots, people got the vaccination, people stayed at home, people lost their jobs, and it's still here. So, live your life, your faith. I live according to my faith. Leave me alone.
Okay, thank you.
Are you saying you want to speak to the manager, God? Like, do you want to speak to him about that? Like, what do you guys like?
I speak to God.
Yep, if you're a woman and you're pregnant, don't leave her alone.
You can't reason with her. It is what it is. You can't reason with her. Walker voters. It's a sad situation. If we had conducted ourselves better, maybe we would have had better outcomes. this is just something we're going to have to deal with. And yes, man, sometimes life is tough. That doesn't mean you throw a tantrum and kick your heels up and say, well, I put a mask on before, I'm not doing it again. No, we're adults. We handle the adversity and we keep pushing. We don't cry and say, oh, we already did it. I don't want it to happen. The virus doesn't care about your emotions. We got to deal with it. It is what it is.
Okay, Aguna.
You know, the interesting thing about this whole situation is because people got vaccinated and the virus mutated and it got weaker and weaker. It was because of the vaccine. It was because people were taking precautions. Now, the same people that were anti-vax are pointing to what other people did to protect them as a proof of the virus not being viable. You know, this variant will not put people in the hospital rate at the first variant of coronavirus did. And that's because we have a vaccine. That's because of herd immunity as well as vaccinated people. But the science of that, you're taking the science of that and trying to apply it to something completely different. You know, I'm not worried about myself. I got vaccinated. I'm gonna get boosted. I stay healthy. And if I get coronavirus, I'm more than likely I'm going to survive. My family's going to survive. I'm worried about the idiots that aren't getting vaccinated and those people who will continue to allow the virus to mutate, because that's where the virus is mutating, through people who don't have the vaccine. You're allowing it to propagate. So I'm fine. You can do what you want to do with your bodies, whatever. But at the same time, go get the vaccine. Trust the doctors. Don't trust Stephen and Keith, who went to the medical university of the dark web.
Okay, Cousin Todd, do you want to try again with your comment?
I got the vaccine.
Stop throwing a tantrum.
Me?
Not your turn.
Yes.
You can hear me okay? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, sensible people and the boosters. You can't convince. Now, what I said, Republicans, Donald Trump, after Donald Trump is out here about the coronavirus, and here we are 2 years later, and we're still. So it was not a Democratic. As Nas said, this is worldwide. So you can't use the excuse an election on it. Ridiculous thing I've ever. This is a worldwide pandemic.
Okay.
Not about the Democrats trying to win it. And this mail-in vote voted by Republicans. Now that the Democrats caught on, typical.
All right.
I believe the Constitution protects the right to privacy, and I have no reason or agenda to prejudge the issue.
Roe versus Wade is an important precedent of the Supreme Court. It was decided in 1973. It has been challenged on a number of occasions, and the Supreme Court has reaffirmed the decision. When a decision is challenged and it is reaffirmed, that strengthens its value.
Roe versus Wade, decided in 1973, is a precedent of the United States Supreme Court. It has been reaffirmed, so a good judge will consider it as precedent of the United States Supreme Court, worthy as treatment of precedent like any other.
As a judge, it is an important precedent of the Supreme Court. By it, I mean Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey. Been reaffirmed many times. Casey is precedent on precedent.
I do not believe that Brett Kavanaugh will overturn.
Precedents
Roe
are
v.
overturned
Wade.
all the time.
They aren't overturned all the time. He views precedent not just as a legal doctrine, but as rooted in our Constitution.
Neil Gorsuch, for whom you voted, don't you think he's probably going to vote to overturn Roe versus Wade if given the chance?
I actually don't.
Roe is not a super precedent because calls for its overruling have never ceased, but that doesn't mean that Roe should be overruled.
So while we were on our break for the July 4th holiday, this happened.
Do solemnly swear
that I will administer justice
that I will administer justice
without respect to persons
without respect to persons
and do equal right
and do equal right
to the poor and to the rich,
to the poor and to the rich,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me as an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States.
As an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States.
Under the Constitution
and
laws of the United States. So help me God.
So help me God.
Now, on behalf of all of the members of the court, I am pleased to welcome Justice Jackson to the court and to our common calling.
All right. I was waiting all that time for it to stop, and it didn't stop.
I know.
So,
yeah.
Cousin Todd, do you want to talk about the importance and will it make a difference with the first video we had that Associate Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was sworn in?
Yeah. He stopped talking, correct? Well, first clip you played was Trump-appointed justices lying one after, and and this was quick in there, but they did what they were after lying to the American people. Something should be done about that. Ketanji Brown Jackson, and it's fun clip. Keith and Steve backwards country ignorant is running for seat. He should get in there, but could an educated, intelligent, fair Stephen said himself until the internet, that dark web, and so she shouldn't be Supreme Court justices are sitting there today. It's just mind-boggling. Day is night. There was a bunch of backwards. Anytime you can support Donald Trump, it's no telling what. Okay, that's all because I.
Yeah, Todd, your network is really
okay. It's not my network. My network. It's.
I bet.
Okay, Nas, do you want to talk about whether Associate Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson will make any difference in overturning a lot of the laws that the Supreme Court has already begun to do?
You played spades before, right?
I played what before?
Cards.
Spades.
Not in a long time.
Okay.
I know, Keith, you never played spades.
The numbers, and you pick your books. and you go and you do what you do. So are the numbers still the same as far as one side versus the other?
Yes.
Okay. What changed then?
Stephen, what changed? Based on what Nas just said, what changed?
Donald Trump's people.
I said, Stephen, you don't look like Stephen.
Oh, definitely.
Your beard
not.
isn't gray. Stephen, what changed? What changed, Stephen?
Stephen looks like a straight insurrectionist. Look at his picture.
Actually, he looks pretty good. I think his light looks really good.
Gosh.
His light looks really good. He looks really good. You know, his light looks good. And
nah, I came back from vacation the 4th of July. I thought the 4th of July would change him, but he's still ugly.
He's not ugly.
I'm just messing.
He's not ugly. Go ahead, Aguna. So what is the significance of having the first African American associate justice on the Supreme Court? What's that significance, Aguna?
Well, to Naz's point, it does. I mean, it's significant in appointment only. I mean, you still have a very conservative court, and their ruling was that they were going to bump everything down to the states and let the states decide. So, I mean, at the end of the day, she's taking up a position on the bench, but it's only 3 of them. It's only 3, like what they consider more liberal judges. You're not going to see a lot of. You're gonna see she's gonna write a lot of dissents, so she better get her hand ready because she's gonna be documenting that for history's purposes. But from pushing any type of laws and things like that, it's gonna be very hard for that to happen. So
okay, yeah. Keith, did you make a comment?
Yeah, there's not gonna be who knows what kind of change. Because the so-called conservative judges were not always. I mean, Roberts ruled again, in favor of Obamacare. He also ruled gay marriage in place. That doesn't mean that they're going to necessarily do the right thing all the time.
Were those 2 decisions before they had the majority on the Supreme Court like now or after?
Well, it doesn't rightly matter.
It does matter. It does matter.
It rewrote.
Because now Roberts has no vote. He's going to get overruled.
Roberts Obamacare. He rewrote Obama.
But now they have the majority. So what's going to happen?
6-3, 6-3, 6-3 every time. That's why I told you it's like cars. They're going to run to Boston on the Supreme Court. Shout out to the spades players who know what I'm talking about. They're going to run to Boston on every conservative issue, 6-3. And they'll justify it just by the numbers. So, they're not acting in good faith. The court is politicized. And this is what it is.
That'd be great to see her disappointed left.
Okay. You can't hear that nonsense, but there's no way that Keith is going to get into white man's heaven learning how to play spades. That'll get you kicked out real quick.
All right.
See.
Let's move on to this.
President Trump is a 76-year-old man. He is not an impressionable child. As our investigation has shown, Donald Trump had access to more detailed and specific information showing that the election was not actually stolen than almost any other American. And he was told this over and over again. No rational or sane man in his position could disregard that information and reach the opposite conclusion. And Donald Trump cannot escape responsibility by being willfully blind.
I mean, Stephen, can you hear us now?
And the CIA they must have kicked in the door. Hopefully.
All right, Aguna, let's have you start. What did Liz Cheney mean by that? Hello. What did Liz Cheney mean by that? Aguna? Was she essentially saying that the former president is responsible for himself and he should be, as opposed to acting like he is not?
She's talking about accountability. I mean, at the end of the day, there's overwhelming evidence showing that he was complicit and he knew exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to have the crowd go to the Capitol. He wanted to lead them there. He wanted to declare martial law. He wanted to create a constitutional crisis that would extend this certification of the elections months and get it kicked over to Congress and hopefully have the Republican majority in Congress override it or something like that. It was something diabolical. We as Americans should be looking at it like this is ridiculous. And even though many people on the right, Stephen and Keith, want to downplay it and push it to the side, there's this slow drip of information that's coming out to the American people, and we're listening to it, we're seeing it, and it's like, even the Republicans, they don't want to talk about Trump. They want to pull a Yankee. They want to pull away from it. So the only risk that the Democrats have in all of this is committee fatigue. Americans have very short attention spans, and the people that are complicit with Trump are even thinking, hey, you know what? He did all of that, but he should have, because the election was stolen anyway. So they're okay with all these things that he's doing. They're okay with him to overthrow the election because it was stolen. So he had to do what he had to do. So they were rationalizing his behavior. So this committee really is talking to their own audience, saying, hey, we get this guy comes back into office. This is what you need to expect. But it's not even Trump that they really need to expose. They need to talk about all the people that stood by all the people in Congress who voted even after he did this to not certify the election and to say that the election was stolen. Those are the people you need to be worried about, because those are the same people that will try to steal the election by projecting that the Democrats did. Though they really will.
So let's hear what this gentleman had to say, and then Cousin Todd, I want you to come in.
I was the White House counsel. Some of those decisions are political. So to the extent that, but if your question is, did I believe we should concede the election at a point in time? Yes, I did. I believe Leader McConnell went onto the floor of the Senate, I believe in mid-December, and basically said, the process is done. That would be in line with my thinking on these things. To have the federal government seize voting machines, it's a terrible idea for the country. That's not how we do things in the United States. There's no legal authority to do that. And there is a way to contest elections, that happens all the time. But the idea that the federal government could come in and seize election machines, I don't understand why I would even have to tell you why that's a bad idea for the country. It's a terrible idea.
Okay, Cousin Todd, do you agree with him or not? We can't hear you. And you're not on mute. Okay, so Aguna, let's bring you in. Todd's going to try to reboot. Go ahead, Aguna.
You got to remember that these are people in Trump's inner circle that are saying these aren't some Democratic operative. These aren't these people that are paid informants or anything like that. They're under oath, and they're talking about a president that was unhinged and that was bent on staying in power and basically throwing a temper tantrum because he didn't win the election. So at the end of the day, we're going to hear from my fellow panelists that there was no cross-examination because McCarthy decided he didn't want to participate. But now you have Trump calling and trying to tamper with witnesses, and you'd only tamper with a witness if you were guilty. So it's like this is just something we all already knew. But it's just crazy how it's just unfolding, and the more and more you listen to it, the more and more this guy is dangerous for America. So at the end of the day, you're going to have deniers, you're going to have people that are going to try to rationalize this, but the proof is in the pudding right here. These are people on his staff under oath testifying what the president was doing, or what he wasn't doing. And that was trying to stop the insurrection. Or pretty much, they didn't stop calling it insurrection. It was a coup. He tried to overthrow it.
Okay, Stephen, was it a coup? Were they trying to overthrow it? And does the federal government have the right to take local election machines? Keith?
Are you talking to Stephen or me?
No. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Keith. No. I meant Stephen, but go ahead, Keith.
Okay. Well, I would say that there were questions that came up in the different states about how they decided it, and not changed by the legislature. They changed them by governors and commissioners.
Everybody else getting
those were actions that should have been faulty to stay. My opinion.
Okay.
Nobody knows what
Stephen?
he said.
Yeah, nobody knows what he said.
Yeah, you were going in and out, but Stephen, go ahead. Can you comment? Stephen's having a hard time hearing us. Your signal's kind of weak, Stephen.
So let me just say this, Stacey.
Go ahead, Aguna.
Trump had he raised $250 million off of this lie.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think that was
He owes $250 million, and they couldn't find any evidence.
I'm hearing a lot.
What does that make? A lot. What does that make? $250 million for his defense fund. They couldn't find any evidence.
I don't know.
All the speculation that Keith is trying to do doesn't mean anything.
I think that's Nas.
No, that's not Nas. Nas is no longer on.
Is that
That's
Nas?
Aguna.
Is that Nas?
No.
Coordinate. Can you hear me, Stacey?
No, well, let's just go over. I'm going to move on.
Single camera captured more than 1 hour of terror. A 77-minute video from a surveillance camera in the hallway reveals what happened on May 24th inside Robb Elementary. The video has not been released publicly, but our sister station in Austin, KVUE, has viewed the footage. They say it shows the gunman walking into the school carrying an AR-15 and unleashing a barrage of bullets. They say you can hear children and teachers screaming. Some of the victims' families want the video released so they can see for themselves, but still knowing they will never see their children again.
What I want, no one can give me. I want my daughter back.
The Uvalde mayor and some legislators have also asked for the video to be released, but the Uvalde County District Attorney has blocked its release, citing an ongoing criminal investigation. That has frustrated residents.
From the mayor down, nobody's telling the people nothing.
Experts say the release of the video would not compromise a criminal investigation because the gunman is dead. Since DPS is the investigating agency, they too have the power to release it. Meanwhile, protests are growing in Uvalde for lawmakers to do more, including from the pediatrician who saw the kids who were killed and injured.
I see children daily with PTSD and anxiety that's now leading to depression. I spend half my days convincing kids that no one is coming for them and that they are safe knowing and that they're safe. But how do I say that knowing that the very weapons used in the attack are still freely available?
Law enforcement experts say what happened in Uvalde is one of the worst law enforcement failures in U.S. history. According to KVUE, the video shows that in the first 30 minutes, there were 13 rifles inside the school, and they say it shows dozens of officers from multiple agencies, including DPS, standing in the hallway with equipment and weapons, waiting more than 70 minutes to enter the classrooms. Families say they deserve to see that video, and there is mounting pressure for its release. In Dallas, I'm Rebecca Lopez.
I mean, that's just horrible. I can't even imagine the pain those parents and that community is going through. But Keith, I'm asking you, seeing that video, do the parents and that community have a right to see that video and to see how long those officers with those assault weapons waited before entering?
Well, we already know. For like 70 minutes or so, 77, whatever. Only cause us even more if they actually look at it. That's only going to. What else we? You know, I mean, I'm trying to be insensitive, we're trying to discover. You already know what's going on. What I suggest times we need to arm. We need to let who want arm and train so that they will be able to handle a situation. As well as parents, as well as staff administrators to be.
Okay, you're going in and out. Let me, Aguna, as a parent of a young child, to watch that, even just to watch that video just then and see them standing there not moving, what do you think that will cause you to do if they release something like that and you were a part of that Uvalde community?
Well, it's going to cause outrage. People are that's going to be hard for people to process. I mean, you look what happened with not only Columbine, but Sandy Hook. Those were horrible. I mean, their police and first responders still are going through therapy just seeing the bodies of kids cut in half by automatic weapons like that. But here's the thing. I mean, you had police officers who are trained, who know what they're doing, who've been in the force for a long time, and they didn't get it right. They didn't go in. So this nonsense that Keith is talking about, training a teacher. So if these law enforcement officers who were trained couldn't do it, what makes you think a teacher in the classroom who isn't, that's not their profession to be a gun-carrying person, they're there to teach, right? It's the teacher's option to protect the children and keep them safe. Their first job is to teach. And now you want them to have guns. Who's going to pay for the insurance? Who's going to pay for the training? They can't. Teachers I know, they have to buy their own school supplies. So now you want them to take training and get all these guns and get all these things. It's ridiculous. So that's the reason we never have a good debate over this issue, because you got too far trained talking nonsense about the solution.
So let's look at this video and then talk about this gun control and how.
Japan mourns his death. The investigation into the assassination of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe continues.
Investigators are now learning more about the suspect and what he allegedly did the day before. Bob Woodruff reports.
Tonight, we're learning more about the possible motive in the shocking assassination of the former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Police say 41-year-old Tetsuya Yamagami, a former member of the Japanese Navy, confessed to killing Abe during a campaign event Friday, and that he planned the attack for about a year and reportedly had planned to use an explosive. But in order to target only Abe instead of a large group, he decided to use a gun instead. Japanese media also reporting that the gunman allegedly decided to attack Abe after watching a video message Abe sent to his mother's church, which the gunman blamed for her financial ruin. That church, a controversial group called the Unification Church, known in the U.S. as the Moonies, named after their founder, Sun Myung Moon. But the Unification Church said there is no record of asking the suspect's mother for large donations. Authorities also acknowledged security failures and are investigating how the gunman was able to get so close to Abe, allegedly firing 2 shots from a homemade gun, seen here, 2 barrels bound together with black tape. The suspect reportedly telling police he learned how to build guns from videos posted online.
Now, local media reports that the suspect allegedly test-fired his homemade guns in the mountains and actually attended another Abe campaign event the day before the assassination. Bob Woodruff, ABC News, Tokyo.
A private wake for Abe was held today in Tokyo. A public memorial service is expected at a later date. Now, within the last hour, the hearse carrying Abe's body has reached the Prime Minister's office in Tokyo, according to a live televised broadcast. The hearse was received by members of the Japanese government, including the current Prime Minister, Abe's brother, and the Defense Minister.
And new at 9, Honolulu Mayor Rick Blangiardi signed a book of condolences today at the Consulate General of Japan in Honolulu. Blangiardi said, quote, "The death of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is a devastating blow to those around the world who admired his principles when it came to leadership and democracy." Blangiardi also passed along a condolence letter to Consul General Aoki.
On the Big Island, residents are encouraged to send messages of solidarity in memory of Shinzo Abe. Hawaii County is hosting a Books of Condolences. The books can be found at the office of the mayor in Hilo and Kona until Friday, and the public is encouraged to comment. Next week, the books will be delivered to the Consul General of Japan in Honolulu, then sent to Japan to be stored for Abe's family. The last time the county of Hawaii hosted Books of Condolences for Japan was in 2011, when the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami killed thousands.
Okay, Cousin Todd, you want to talk about gun control over in other countries as opposed to the United States? They don't allow guns in Japan, but here you see they allow assault weapons. The former prime minister was still assassinated.
Yeah. That was by a homemade gun. And they took him into custody nicely. It always amazes me how that happens. For example, here, the latest killing, the boy that dressed up like a girl, after killing people, the police said, "Excuse me, sir, would you please lay down so that I can put these handcuffs on you if you don't mind?" Huh? If he were black, he would have been shot to death. That reminds me of another boy that went into a church and killed at least 9 black people who were in church, welcoming him in. And after killing, he said to the police, "You know what, guys? I'm going to tell you something. I'm famished. All that killing really works up an appetite. So would you guys mind stopping at a fast food joint?" And of course, those white coppers said, "Sure. Why not? My treat." So they treated him to a nice meal and then took him to jail. Huh? Remember the boy that shot the people at the supermarket? They should have shot him full of holes. They didn't do that. Excuse me, sir. Would you mind if we put some handcuffs on you? We're going to take you down to the station for a while. Are you kidding me? This is what happens when white boys kill masses. But if you, Blackie, I double dare you to steal a candy bar from the 7-Eleven. Your butt is getting full of holes. Right, Keith? And rightly so. It is sick. It's beyond sick.
So let's have Keith respond to that. Keith, respond to what Cousin Todd said.
Don't.
Well,
because he says they deserve it.
Todd may be right. But you see, I'm obeying the law. So never situation.
That's it. That's your response.
Yes, that's his response. Because
so
he hates
Aguna,
his mother.
The gentleman who was killed when the police shot about 70 bullets into him while he was running away from them, and the shooter that killed up women, men, and children in Michigan was nicely handcuffed. How do you account for that?
Part of it is the police training. When you have a mass shooter, they're like, okay, is this a terrorist event? Let's try to take him into custody because he maybe not operating alone and everything like that.
Give me a break.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right. But you notice it's like they don't try to use the same type of aggression. They should be lighting these guys up. But in hindsight, when you have someone who's unarmed, police are more, they got their adrenaline going, they're more aggressive, they're doing all this stuff, they're shooting, and they have this sense of, oh, he might be armed, or we need to be fearful, versus they know that this mass shooter has a gun, so if he doesn't shoot back, let's take him into custody. It's weird, because you're right, you shouldn't be trying to take these guys into custody, you should be like a heightened sense of security, knowing that they just killed 6-7 people. Injured 30 people. But again, this guy was running away. Unfortunately for us, we have to comply. Even in the back, we're running away, unarmed and not a threat, and they're still shooting full of bullets. That right there, you can see where they need to be fired. However, it's going to be a long investigation. At the end of the day, you have to comply with the police. You gotta comply.
So, Stephen, let's see if we can get you back in. Can you hear us, and can you speak on the gun control issue and these shootings lately in the United States? Can you hear us, Stephen?
No. He's Googling it.
He's in the dark web. He's not even on the dark web. He's in it.
All right. So let's go to our roundtable discussion. This is our last thing.
Glad it was a tumultuous week leading up to the stunning announcement. Boris Johnson resigning amid all the scandal that's tainted his time in office.
He's only in power because he's been propped up for months by a corrupted party defending the indefensible.
Political theater at its highest, as pressure mounted in recent days to boot British Prime Minister Boris Johnson from his top position.
He was always unfit for office. He has overseen scandal, fraud and waste on an industrial scale.
That push fueled by members of the British Parliament over the latest scandal involving Johnson's promotion of his recently resigned Deputy Chief Whip, Chris Pincher, following allegations of sexual misconduct that Pincher allegedly groped 2 men at a private club. But this was just one of many controversies prompting the embattled Prime Minister to announce his resignation.
I want you to know how sad I am to be giving up the best job in the world. But them's the breaks.
Bye-bye, Boris, Boris, goodbye.
His departure drew cheers from Londoners lining Downing Street in central London, who chanted to a remix song, relieved he's finally stepping down.
A man without morals, what can you say?
Boris has to go. He's a disgrace.
Before announcing his exit, Johnson tried in recent days to hold on to his job, saying it was a mistake to appoint Pincher to the government.
Do you regret standing by the Prime Minister for so long?
Dozens of ministers in his government resigned this week, with Johnson saying in his resignation speech this was a painful moment and that he tried hard to avoid it. Roughly half of his government had bailed on him following a party revolt. Johnson was also criticized for a controversial flat reimbursement last year that prompted the Conservative Party to break electoral laws by dipping into funds donated by an affluent party donor to cover the cost. The funds were never properly declared according to the Electoral Commission.
They see the picture of you sitting in the Downing Street garden, drinking wine.
And then there was a pandemic partygate, as it was called. A senior civil servant claimed senior leadership at the center of Johnson's administration said the Prime Minister defied COVID lockdowns by secretly socializing at private gatherings on government property. Johnson, who was later fined by London's Metropolitan Police, the first UK premier in history to break the law in office for this type of offense, said he thought it was okay to party it up at work events.
Now, some of the leading candidates who could replace Johnson as the next prime minister include the foreign secretary and the recently resigned chancellor. That's the very latest in the newsroom. I'm Corrine Winter. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Okay, this is our roundtable. We'll start with Keith, then Aguna, then Cousin Todd. Boris Johnson, is that a Watergate in Great Britain, Keith?
Why should I care about Great Britain? But anyway, I want to say, in my final gun control, the only gun control the hands of that's where you find gun control. And I notice that everyone's shooting up. Choose to obey. I am an obedient servant of the law, but I should be allowed to
and they'll kill you for it. Thank you.
Okay.
Aguna.
So what was the question?
Great Britain.
Oh, great. Okay.
Boris Johnson resigning. Is it there? Watergate. How will it affect the United States, since Keith doesn't necessarily see it the same way?
Of course, Keith doesn't see it the same way because Keith doesn't understand that this is a global economy. Great Britain is one of our biggest allies on the planet, outside of maybe Canada or France or in Germany. To that point. So the fact that they're going to have a change in leadership, depending on who takes his place. Again, Boris was part of a very far-right conservative party. And they wanted him out because, again, they put him in there. He had a lot of scandal. He got them out of Brexit. He got them. He brought back the pound. He got no longer using the euro. And that was actually a good move because now the euro and the dollar are on par with each other. So he didn't even get to see the fruition of his dream of Brexit. But you got to worry about who is going to replace him. Who's going to be that next guy? Is he going to be a populist, or is he going to be this is a new form of conservative populism that's going on in the world, and they don't care about why. You see what's happening in the United States. You heard Keith say, I don't care about what's happening in Britain. Suppose we said that in World War II. That was the reason why Germany almost took over Europe, because we didn't care about what was going on in Europe. We care about what's going on in Europe. We're going to be selling them goods. We're going to be selling them probably oil. So it's important to know who's going to be in charge over there.
Okay, Cousin Todd.
And Europe is our partners. United States and Europe are like hand in glove. So it's amazing how you would say, I don't care what's going on over there. Oh my gosh. Nevertheless, this kind of populism, like Aguna was saying, is permeating worldwide. Just like Trump, he's a lot like Donald Trump. Bombastic, lies. Well, he lies, and he's having parties and whatnot. Mind you, after he almost died from the coronavirus. But nevertheless, he's out, Trump's out, so we can only hope that the United States and Britain are smartening up. But we'll see. We'll see if they like this kind of. And the thing is this: these people are not for poor people at all. They do nothing for the poor or middle class. Only rich. So once people like Keith and Stephen realize that they're not getting any benefits from these people, maybe they'll smarten up, but I highly doubt it.
All right. To our first responders in our community, you make our lives livable. Thank you to our men and women of the U.S. military and all that you do, and sacrificing your lives so that we are free to say whatever we choose on the show. We are forever indebted. On behalf of Aguna, the Nigerian moderate Republican, Keith, the constitutional conservative, Stephen, the independent thinker, and my cousin Todd. I'm Stacey Johnson. Please check us out on The Flow television network, The Flow. Check us out on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok. We're back. We'll see you next week. Good night.
It'll be better next week.
Yeah, sorry for the technical difficulties. We'll get that straightened out. Did I say my name?
Yeah, you said Stacey Johnson.
Okay, all right. I couldn't remember. Good night.